Are you wondering what you could get for $1 million? Well, in this video, I'm going to do exactly that. We're going to take a tour of a few homes and properties in communities in the Madison area and share with you a little bit more about what you could buy for $1 million in the Madison area. Without further ado, let's dive in, shall we? I'm Josh with Josh Lavik and Associates, and on this tour, we are touring $1 million properties. The first one is this one here. So in the Madison area, there's a bunch of different areas you could go. And the first I would highlight is some of the suburbs. I think some of your options for the $1 million price point is definitely getting a home in the suburbs. For example, this one we sold not too long ago, 6103 Copper Falls Court. It's over in McFarland. It's over on the east side of Madison, southeast side of town, but still very close to Madison, right? Like you can be downtown in like 15 minutes. Really easy to get also out to the country, also close to some of the lakes. So if you wanted to be near Lake Waubesa or Lake Kegonsa, McFarland is kind of an ideal location for that. Plus also easy access to the interstate highway 90 or 94. So if you're looking to go north or south or go east out to Milwaukee, it's really a nice community for that aspect. But this home, very spacious home, 5,300 square feet, 6 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, built in 2018, and lots of nice upgrades, lots of nice big open floor plan. I mean, it had lots of finishes, nice finishes that you would expect. A very luxurious bathroom, for example, double vanities. You get a tile shower. This one had a classic clawfoot tub in it. I mean, just some really cool features in this home. And it was also on a cul-de-sac lot. So a location, you're not going to get a ton of traffic right nearby there because it was on a cul-de-sac. That's down in McFarland. So another suburb you might consider is over in Middleton. So this is over on the west side of town. Just west of Madison is Middleton. And so definitely a good area as well. Nice home, nice location. This one sold for $950,000. This is over at 7356 Summit Ridge Road. And this one, again, 5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, over 5,000 square feet, built in 2002. You get lots of nice upgrades as well, right? Nice hardwood floors, granite countertops, 2 large living areas. I mean, definitely has a lot of the nice upgrades and amenities that you would certainly expect for a high-end caliber home. So that's over in Middleton. You also could go south. This one is over in Fitchburg. And this is 2984 Sahara Circle over in Fitchburg. But again, kind of similar story here. You're getting 6 bedrooms, 4,896 square feet, 3.5 bathrooms. All of these, though, are going to be on pretty standard, I would say, somewhat smaller lots, right? They're around a 1/4 acre, at least, yeah, this one 0.37 acres. So pretty standard kind of lot. Most homes in the Madison area are going to be, usually, most of them are 1/3 of an acre or less. There are definitely some other lots that are much larger, and typically you'll pay a premium for that within the city or the township. Anyway, but that's down in Fitchburg. So you also could, the other trade-off sometimes people make in this price point is, like I said, lot size, right? We've been talking about this one. Well, this one is over on Oak Ridge Road in Oregon, and this one actually had 18 acres, okay? So if you can afford around that $1 million price point, maybe you want to get some acreage, maybe a house in the country is important to you, that's certainly an option. But the house itself is obviously not 5,000 square feet. It's probably about half that size. This one, it was 2,874 square feet, 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath, built in 1983. So I think this is kind of interesting to note because I think oftentimes it's about trade-offs in terms of what's most important to you in your new home, right? Would you rather have maybe a larger, nicer home, or would you rather have more land and more lot size and maybe not invest as much of your money into like the size of the home or as new of a home and that kind of thing? So that's another option. That's 18 acres. Just south of Madison is Oregon. This is actually in the town of Rutland, kind of near Oregon, Brooklyn, Dunkirk, Stoughton. So you're kind of out in the country there. A lot more space to kind of roam and do what you want there. But this one sold for $995 back in 2024. Well, what else could you get? You could also get a new home, right? So new construction. Our median home price, at least as I'm filming this, is right around $450,000. So most new construction homes, you're probably definitely going to be higher than 450, probably closer to maybe 6, 7, 800,000 is going to be most single family homes are going to be kind of in that price point. But if you go a little bit more up to that 995, for example, this was over on Greenleaf Court in Sun Prairie. It was a ranch with 3,800 square feet, a lot of nice finishes in this one as well. And if new construction is a possibility, absolutely that's an option. You just tend to get, like I said, a little bit nicer space, maybe more finishes. This one also had a sunroom on the back versus, more basic new construction homes. You can still get into a new home for closer to that 500,000 or 600,000 price point, but maybe it wouldn't have as nice of amenities or upgrades or neighborhood, or maybe there's not as much stone or that kind of thing. But if you can bump that price point up a little bit, then that's usually when you get a little bit nicer upgrades or a nicer neighborhood and that kind of thing. Well, if new construction is not for you and you want to be, for example, near campus, right? Maybe you're a professor at the university, or maybe you just like being in a more walkable neighborhood like the Dudgeon Monroe neighborhood, for example, and you want to be closer to like that near west side of Madison or campus. This house, for example, just sold on Gregory Street, 2906 Gregory. So this is definitely a great neighborhood. One of my favorite neighborhoods actually in the Madison area. It's right along the bike path, right? The Southwest Commuter Bike Trail is right nearby. You're real close to Edgewood College, close to the zoo, which is free in Madison, right? So you can go to the zoo or go to Lake Wingra. Good spot to hang out. But it's also older homes, right? So this was built in 1928. And so you're not getting brand new construction, but you get an old, more classic home. And if you like more mature trees and more mature neighborhoods, something like this might be certainly a good option for you. And this was, 65 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. Plus this one had a whole bunch of new updates. So it had nice hardwood floors, but the entire house had been meticulously updated. You can get into that neighborhood a little bit lower than that, around that $1 million price point, but usually the properties are going to need a little bit more renovation and work and that kind of thing. Sometimes also homes, occasionally, like in the early 1900s, maybe you have some homes maybe needing like electrical updates and things like that may still need to be done. But the neighborhood, one of my favorite neighborhoods actually in the Madison area, it's right along the bike path, right? The Southwest Commuter Bike Trail is right nearby. You're real close to Edgewood College, close to the zoo, which is free in Madison, right? So you can go to the zoo or go to Lake Wingra. Good spot to hang out. But it's also older homes, right? So this was built in 1928. And so you're not getting brand new construction, but you get an old, more classic home. And if you like more mature trees and more mature neighborhoods, something like this might be certainly a good option for you. And this was, 65 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. Plus this one had a whole bunch of new updates. So it had nice hardwood floors, but the entire house had been meticulously updated. You can get into that neighborhood a little bit lower than that, around that $1 million price point, but usually the properties are going to need a little bit more renovation and work and that kind of thing. Sometimes also homes, occasionally, like in the early 1900s, maybe you have some homes maybe needing like electrical updates and things like that may still need to be done. But the closer you get to that $1 million or possibly more price point, then usually you get the house is going to be in pretty good condition. Usually a lot of times they'll have already done some updates and things like that as well. What else could we get for around $1 million? So maybe old is not for you, but you want something newer and maybe you really like downtown. And if that's the case, then you could possibly get into a beautiful downtown condo. So there's a few different options here. One of them our firm sold back at 350 South Hamilton, number 502. This is in the Nolan Shore building. And so when you're driving on John Nolan Drive right near the Monona Terrace, it's the big kind of green and orange brick building off to let's see, if you're heading into downtown, it's on your left as you're coming into town. And so it's a very iconic building. This was Zero Wolf range and cooktop, beautiful granite countertops. And of course, plus, you're really just paying for the amazing view of Lake Monona out there. There are other condos in this building that have sold for less, in the last year. Definitely, you can get in there for closer to like 800,000, but maybe the ones that are selling for $1 million or more definitely have that more premier view and are typically higher up in the building, in the complex there. So they don't turn over super frequently, but if you're looking to get into a beautiful downtown condo, Nolan Shore is a great example. A couple other good examples, if you want something else downtown, might be 100 Wisconsin. That's another beautiful luxury condo. And then the Marina is another one that you might know of over on Wilson Street. Those are probably the two that I think have some of the best views downtown, but there's other condos downtown as well. But those two would be kind of comparable in terms of some of their finishes and the views and that kind of thing. If condo living isn't for you and you're looking to invest some of that hard-earned capital, then maybe you want to buy an investment property. So here is an investment property example that just sold over in Monona for just over $1 million, 1.15 million. And this was actually a 7-unit and brought in a 7-unit complex and brought in actually over $83,000 in gross revenue. So if you're looking to invest in real estate, this investment properties are definitely an option, maybe a 4, 6, 8-unit or more, depending on where you end up. But the multifamily market in the Madison area has been very strong. We've had pretty low vacancy rates as well all over the area. So, but definitely you could get in, like I said, and invest in a rental property. So I hope you found that helpful so far. The other thing sometimes people look at is, Mike, okay, well, you know, there's all these beautiful lakes in the Madison area. Could I get something on the lake in Madison? And the answer is, yeah, absolutely. But it, you know, that I find that $1 million price point is kind of a hard price point. I think most of the lake homes and lakefront properties tend to fall either above or below that price point. You can find some over, like, for example, around 800,000 or even just over $1 million, sometimes over on Lake Kegonsa. But if you want to be on Lake Mendota Drive, for example, you're going to probably spend $2 to $4 million for some of the high-end homes there. For what we were talking about, the 5-bedroom, over 5,000 square foot home, you know, that was $1 million, you know, is 3.6, for example. This one is over on Lake Mendota Drive. So if you want to be on Lake Mendota, you're definitely going to pay a premium. Some of the homes on Lake Kegonsa tend to be a little bit more affordable, but Mendota and Lake Monona and Wabisa are all connected through the Yahara River. And so you can boat from all 3 of the lakes if you have a motorboat, for example. And that's a very common thing to do in the summertime. But I'd say Mendota tends to command the highest prices on the lakes, but there are other options that you could get into as well. But that's not always the case. For example, this one on Wakanda Drive is in Wanakee. That's on Mendota, sold for $965. However, it was an older ranch style home, not overly glamorous or huge at all. 2758 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. There's a possibility, but you know, some of the neighbors on some of the lakes, you know, obviously have much larger homes once they've been, and I am seeing a lot of turnover on some of the lakes too, where, you know, for example, this one on Barber Drive, 1984 Barber Drive, there was an older home on the lake there that was demolished and torn down, and then this home just sold for $2 million, for example, but it was pretty much brand new construction. That's another option if you're looking to be on the lakes. The other option sometimes people want is maybe, well, can I get something on a golf course? And the answer is yes. There's just maybe not a ton of options out there right now. I mean, there's a few, but probably the most I've seen is like over at Hawks Landing. These are Hawks Ridge Estates. You can get there. This one's under contract right now at $925. Or you can go, this is what, at Glen Oaks, another one at Hawks Landing. The other one, there's a few good options down at Bergamont in Oregon. So just south of Madison, the like 975 Carnegie State Way, for example, just sold at 1.15 million. Definitely beautiful home, but yeah, 5-bedroom, 3.5 bath, 4,185 square feet, and you're right on the golf course. So if being on a golf course is important to you, that is an option. And there's even, some of these options are even less than that. You can get on a little bit less than that. So that's about what you could get for $1 million in the Madison area. And I hope you found this video helpful. And if you're a homeowner in any of these beautiful neighborhoods or communities and you're thinking about selling your home, we've got a specific marketing plans just for luxury homes and high-end homes, just like yours, right around $1 million. It's one of the ones we just used, for example, that one on Copper Falls Court, where actually the property was listed previously with another agent. It did not sell. We came back on and launched our marketing campaign and plan, and it did sell. We do have a plan in place, and I've got 20 years experience, and I'm happy to share more about that. Feel free to reach out if you're thinking about selling your home in any of these beautiful neighborhoods or communities. And if you're looking to buy a $1 million home and you want to be in one of these neighborhoods or communities or areas, then obviously we're very familiar with the areas, and feel free to reach out to our team, and we'll set up a time to talk with you a little further about what's most important to you. Is it a newer, spacious home, or is it a golf course, or is it a home with some land? What might be for you? So regardless of what it is, hope you found this video helpful, and feel free to reach out when the time is right. Thank you.